Hello everyone. Today we will be reviewing the second Batman movie in the Christian Bale series, The Dark Knight. This was probably, I hate to say it, but my second favorite in the series. My favorite in the series is The Dark Knight Rises with Bane, just because I like that character probably the best out of, villain-wise, out of all the Batman villains, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say here. I don't know why I couldn't spit that out. But this was probably, for me at least, the best live-action adaptation of the Joker, if I'm saying that correctly. Heath Ledger, who unfortunately passed away, I'm not sure if it was in the same year or a couple years or a year later. I'm not really sure exactly what year he passed away again. It might have been the same year the movie was released, if I remember correctly, which is kind of sad because it would have been nice to see where his adaptation of the Joker had gone in the next movie, because everybody was anticipating that that's what was going to take place, was that storyline was going to continue. But unfortunately, due to his passing, there was just really no way anybody could top that performance of the Joker, as far as I'm concerned. But I guess we will never really truly know now, because that series has been over for, I think the last movie was in 2012. So it's been 8 years. So to go back and try to restart that story would be crazy now, I guess, as far as that goes, yeah. Anyhow, this movie definitely still stands to the test of time, I would say, even graphics-wise, with the whole Two-Face thing. And if you don't know who Two-Face is, before he became Two-Face, he was Harvey Dent, the mayor of Gotham, or he was going to become the new mayor of Gotham. And Bruce Wayne helps him along his path into becoming the mayor. And in this movie, I was correct. Gordon does become Commissioner Gordon in this movie after so many years in the service and just doing an outstanding job. Now, in this movie, one of the very interesting points in this movie is the Joker tells stories about how he got his scars. And in the first version, he tells it as his father basically gave them to him with a kitchen knife after getting in a fight with his mother, and then turning to him and saying, "Let's put a smile on that face." And basically the whole "why so serious" line has become so popular since then because of that. And then the second time, when he's telling it to Rachel, he says that it was his wife and that he did it himself with a razor, and then she left him. So he kind of, in a way, taps into, I guess, the victim's fears, in a sense, as to, like, he really digs deep into their psychological, or their psyche, to really kind of make them think and guess what kind of person he truly is, because he doesn't play by the rules. He believes that there truly aren't any rules, and that the rules can be broken easily. And he's always one step ahead of everybody else. Like, everything in this movie he wanted to be done, even though he says he really hasn't planned it out. He clearly has. He's just a mastermind at the planning, and he takes Harvey Dent, basically the White Knight of Gotham, and totally breaks him down until he becomes Two-Face and completely insane due to the death of Rachel, because he left it up to Batman and Commissioner Gordon to save both of them, and Commissioner Gordon wasn't able to make it to Rachel in time, but Harvey got saved. Unfortunately, half his face gets burned, and that's how he becomes the iconic character Two-Face. And then the movie just kind of escalates from there, with Joker blowing up the hospital, putting bombs on the boats, 2 ferries, and making each ferry decide whether they're going to blow up the other one. The theory is, I guess, that Joker wanted them to both blow up, and I guess he did have the detonator for both ships at the end of the movie, so he was planning on blowing them up himself anyway, if nobody decided to go for one of the boats. But it kind of makes it seem like the detonator was for their own ship, so they would have blown themselves up, and then he would have said, there, now you can see who the real villains are. Because the convicts do end up throwing their detonator out the ferry window. So it turns out that they were better people than the people on the other ship, because the one guy was about seconds away from turning the key before he decides to just put the detonator back in the box. So not everybody is as crazy as Joker. But he does do a lot of crazy stuff in this movie. But he's smart about it. Like the breaking down of Harvey Dent. Kind of getting Batman to bend his rules a little bit. The one smart thing was in the very end scene where he actually reverses the hostages and the guys that he has working for him. So it makes it look like the doctors, the ones dressed as doctors, are the hostages, and the clowns are surrounding them. But it turns out the ones dressed as the clowns are the hostages, and the doctors are actually the people working for him. So that was a very interesting concept. He's a smart man. There was one in the prison scene where he gets captured. He wanted to be captured. They find that out, and he ends up taking the one Chinese guy who was going to make deals with both Bruce Wayne and, I believe, Harvey Dent for some. There was money involved somehow. How was that deal? Was it for weapons? It might have been for weapons or something of the sort. Anyhow, that's not really vital to the whole story. The story is more about the Joker and and Batman. But yeah, what else? Alfred kind of seems more like a secondary character in this one. He seemed more like a main character in the first movie, but he's kind of become more of a secondary character just because I guess the Joker and Batman are battling throughout this movie. One new thing in the movie was the Batman motorcycle that comes out of the Batmobile. Don't know why I couldn't think of that. I'm having a brain fart. That comes out of the Batmobile during the scene where the Joker is in the trailer and they're taking Harvey Dent away after Harvey has said that he is the Batman, which clearly we know he isn't, but he's hoping the Batman will come and save him, which ends up being what happens after the Joker tries to, I guess, kind of, I don't know whether he was trying to kill Harvey Dent or capture him in that scene. I think he was just trying to, starting to mentally break down Harvey Dent into thinking that no matter what happens, somebody will always be one step ahead and there to get him. Even though there's always going to be somebody trying to protect him, eventually they will get to him. But yeah. What else? What else can I touch on here? I think that might be about it. Trying to think here. What else? The blowing up of the hospital, I touched on that. The ferries. The Scar stories. Yep. Yeah, I guess maybe the suit does change a little bit in this movie. I do believe. And he has sonar in one part of the film, even though that isn't complete. I guess that was one big thing, was that the sonar device created to tap into one thing. Bruce Wayne taps into every cell phone in Gotham, and he's actually able to use it in his own suit, too, to be able to see in the dark better. And then it malfunctions in that scene. but I mean he doesn't need it at the end anyway, because he ends up capturing the Joker. So we all know how that goes down. The SWAT team comes up and Batman gets away, and then we go to Harvey Dent, basically flipping a coin on pretty much anybody he sees now, because he's basically trying to enact his own justice on those who he thinks killed Rachel or had a hand in killing Rachel, and he somehow doesn't think that the Joker had anything to do with that, even though he kind of ended up being the biggest crime boss of them all at the end of the movie. Because I think I don't know what his kill count was in this movie, but it was pretty crazy. Because he kills all the people at the beginning scene in the bank that are working with him. Then he kills one guy when he meets the crime lords at the beginning of the movie. He feeds one guy to his own dogs. There's 5 or 6 cops die in this movie, I believe, at the hands of the Joker, even though he kind of pins that on Batman because he's trying to break Batman down, make him more insane like he is. So yeah, that prison scene was pretty interesting, where he blows up the one guy in the jail cell after he says he just wants his one phone call. The guy's complaining about stomach problems, and then obviously they were way too late by the time the Joker got out of his not out of his cell, because he was already out of his cell. I guess the what would you call that, interrogation room. He gets out of there and then asks for his phone call, and then the prison or jail blows up due to him making that phone call, because he'd already rigged a human being to be a bomb, basically. So what else was I just saying there about? I lost my train of thought. I was saying something else about Batman, and then I went on about the Joker again. Anyhow, I can't remember. So I think that's all I'm going to say for this movie. I would give this movie a 10 out of 10. The acting was much better. The Batman voice was far improved from the first movie, so clearly Christian Bale practiced over the 2005, 2006, the 4 years he had, I guess, between these two movies. Or however many, because I'm not really sure when filming started for the first one, but the filming probably would have started relatively quickly after the first one was made, due to probably how much money it made. I'm not exactly sure the total amount that this movie would have made, but I know this Batman movie series was probably one of the more popular ones. So we'll see what the one from next year brings, because it actually looks pretty good. So we'll see what that brings. I will definitely be doing a review of that as well. But I will go back and watch this, and just if there's anything I missed, I will add to it. But for now, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.